Sword of omens, give me sight beyond sight.
Ready, guys? Oh my god, he just ran in.
Yo, what's up, everyone? How y'all doing tonight? Mad Chiller here, bringing another episode of Between Two Props. Tonight we are discussing making all the things. We're going to discuss 3D printing, design, hydro dipping, sublimation printing, making swag and stickers, and maybe some other things, and welding and all that good stuff. So we are not going to waste any time tonight, and we're going to jump right in, and I'm going to take you over to the goons and our guests. Let's go. Yo, what up, everybody?
What up, bro?
Hi.
Hello.
What's up?
How's everybody doing there tonight?
What's up,
Thanks.
chat? We got a lot of chatters.
What's up,
Got a ton
chat?
of chatter. You got Killer B and Enoch in the
Yeah.
house. Bean and Gearhead. Oh, that's you.
That's me.
Oh, I'm tired. Well, thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Like Chilla said, we're doing a maker episode. We got some pretty awesome guests tonight. We got Say Andrea in the house.
What up, Say?
Hi.
And we have Gearhead as well. How you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Yeah, we're doing well.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys, for
Awesome,
joining
awesome.
us.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Our
thanks for
pleasure. Our
getting us
pleasure.
on here.
Absolutely.
We're stoked,
What's
man.
everybody?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Artie.
What's everybody been up to this weekend, man? Any flying going on? Any making going on?
I've been doing a lot of making. That's all I've been doing.
Yeah, it's cold weather.
Not any flying, but a lot of making.
A lot of
I know,
making.
Surprisingly, I got in like 10 packs this Saturday. It's like the first time all winter I've been able to do it.
Nice.
So,
Oh my
that was
God,
pretty
man.
fun.
Very cool.
Yeah. What about we got some other guys now, some games, Vice and Red 5. How are you guys doing, man?
Good. Just chilling. Enjoyed watching all the protest videos over the weekends.
Right? Big weekend, yeah. We'll definitely
Yeah. I was glued to Facebook watching all the live feeds and
oh man, that
pictures,
was so
and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, big shout out to everybody. I can't express enough thanks.
Appreciate all the efforts, and yeah, everyone pulled through, and it seems like it was a successful, well done protest.
Yeah. I was telling Artie earlier, Enoch did a fucking stand-up job. The production was smooth. Like, you know, I offered to help if he needed anything, but man, I was there and we did our thing and everything ran good and it was cool.
That's great.
It was really cool.
I was hella impressed by it all. I mean, and on top of that, to see this kind of independent group get together and take this on and do such a good job with it, and the community coming together like that was just amazing.
That's what it's all about, right?
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. FPV is friendship. Despite all the things.
I mean, that's what I did this weekend. We don't want to get totally sidetracked, but I did the protests this weekend, as many of you know. And I did fly a little bit this weekend, which was pretty fucking stellar. And
that's awesome.
Shout out to BU for, taking us out and showing us some spots. That was really, really killer.
Where'd you guys go to fly at?
Awesome.
We went to community college and flew there until the very polite security guard asked us to leave. There was quite a few of us. And
where were you at regionally?
We went up
like
towards
Virginia or
Baltimore. We went up to. We actually went up past Baltimore from DC. Yeah, so we went up and around Baltimore, and man, I think Bean and Dragon and AJ and myself and Prim, we sat in line for like 30 minutes to pay the toll. It was like
Jesus.
we were literally on our way. We were making good time, dude. There's like hardly any traffic, no big deal. And then we got to this fucking toll booth, like right outside of Baltimore, and sat for like 35, 40 minutes. It was insane.
Oh.
That sounds like fun.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, thanks to everybody that put that together. Enoch, man, we are not worthy, man. You did awesome. Community thanks you. We certainly thank you, and all the people that were there and stood in the cold, fighting the good fight for all of us that couldn't be there, man. I can't put it into words how appreciative and proud I am of all that. But back to the maker side of things.
Does everybody in here 3D print, or a lot of us 3D print? Chad, I know you do. Say, I think you got a printer.
I do resin printing.
Yeah.
I print on paper.
That counts.
I have Chad.
I can
what are you
I
working
have
on?
Chad print all my stuff.
You got a hot glue gun?
There you go.
What are you modeling?
Yeah, what you got going on there, Gearhead?
This is a tail for the BQE Stormer.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What fell?
So let's
And it's coming along slowly.
Nice.
Shit together.
Getting there.
So Eric, why you've got the mic, man? So tell us about yourself a little bit, and like, where did you get started in all of this?
As far as making goes,
Yeah, like making, primarily, how did you get into making things?
I've been making things since I was a little kid. My dad taught me how to weld when I was about 5 or 6.
Bam.
So he's a farmer and worked at a couple of he went to school for drafting. So growing up, we always had T-squares and scales and drafting equipment all over the house. And that was back when everything was done with like, mechanical pencils, and you had to draw blueprints. You couldn't use computers.
Now, when you learned to weld, was that arc welding, TIG welding, MIG welding?
We had an arc welder and a MIG welder.
Oh, really?
Wire feed, yeah.
You started welding at 5.
Yep, I started, and Dad would go out, and I'd get in trouble for cutting up all of his fence posts, making stuff out of them.
Yes.
So ever since then, I've been hooked on building stuff: go-karts, motorcycles, cars. Not too many cars, but it's a lot of just parts and pieces. Jumped into the turbo motorcycles for quite a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Making custom exhaust and all that stuff. But I'm still a motorcycle guy. I do that every day. So I'm always fixing something or building something.
That's awesome.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up about 20 minutes south of where I'm at now. So I haven't gone too far.
Which is?
I'm in Nebraska.
Right on.
South central Nebraska. I went to motorcycle school down in Daytona Beach and got certified for that, and then moved back here.
Wyotech?
Now it's called Wyotech. It was American Motorcycle Institute when I went down there.
Oh, right on.
Back in like 2000.
I went to MMI.
Oh, did you? Did you do the Phoenix one or the Orlando?
Orlando.
Gotcha. Yeah, I had some friends go to that one. But I've been working on bikes for right at 20 years now at the shop that I'm at now. So
wicked.
Sweet.
That's freaking awesome.
Wicked.
It's safe to say you're a tinkerer.
Yeah, I love taking shit apart and trying to put it back together.
For
Now
sure.
it's everybody else takes it apart and I have to put it back together.
Right.
They
It's
bring me
funny how
stuff
that-
in buckets. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny how that happens, man.
What are your primary mediums of making today?
Obviously,
Gosh.
gears.
Nah, I don't. I do a lot. Yeah, I weld some gears together.
Yeah.
I do a lot of TIG welding if I can. A lot of motorcycle stuff's a lot of aluminum, so I'm dealing with that. I've done titanium, a lot of stainless steel for exhaust and shit like that.
Right.
That's mostly what I do. I've got some friends, kind of in the more of the machining part that cut my grappling hooks out for me and
Oh, yeah.
you know, help me with some of my projects using their bigger equipment that I'm capable of doing. But
So you're doing a lot of metalworking, you would say primarily?
yeah, mostly metal. Since I've got a 3D printer, it's nice to be. When you start doing TIG welding, you always want to make your work look like a robot did it.
Mm-hmm.
You want welds to look like stacks of dimes. You know what I mean? And with the 3D printing, you can take yourself completely out of the equation. There's no room for human error anymore. It's all just in the design and the modeling and getting the printer set up right. So this is like such a cool little freaking robot sitting over here next to me that can just build shit that I'd tell it to build. So I go to bed and I wake up and it's done. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
it's a neat stepping stone. I've actually had some of my machinist buddies come over and check this thing out, and now they're all like hyped up on wanting to get one, and all they can think about is printing in plastic.
Have you looked at any of the casting stuff yet, as far as, you know, printing something and then having it sent out to be cast?
I haven't done the castings. I've seen it done. I've looked at some of like the molds that guys will use in a press for stamping stuff out. You do like a positive and a negative,
Yeah.
a dimple or something for like sheet metal work.
Right.
I haven't tried any of it yet, but it's kind of neat. It's pretty amazing what these things are getting capable of.
It's cool with the resin printing. You can also get like wax based, like lossless resin that's made for casting, so that they use it for like dental work and like jewelry casting.
Yeah, the filament completely disintegrates and leaves behind whatever the void was. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So Say, while you got the mic, so tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, where did you get into all of this making and crafty stuff?
Okay, well, when I was 5, I learned how to sew, not how to freaking weld.
Hey, I can sew too.
Yeah, I can as well. That's awesome.
But yeah, I guess sewing is probably what started it. And my mom did a lot of my Halloween costumes growing up, and then like started doing cosplay. And cosplay was pretty cool because you learn like a lot of freaking random skills just to make a costume come to life. So I kind of only chose costumes if I can learn a new skill while making that costume.
Right.
That was basically my only goal while making costumes. And yeah, I learned a lot about like just painting, airbrushing, latex working, silicone casting, resin stuff, and
yeah, that's awesome. 3D printing's gotten big in cosplay.
Yeah, now I use 3D printing also, and it's funny how like a lot of weird cosplay skills turned into now running a drone, like customizing apparel company and doing weird stuff with drones.
What was your slogan on your site?
Making crappy art and crashing drones.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's fucking awesome. So like what are your primary mediums of creation like today? Like what are you working with the most, do you think? Or is there I know you have a few, so
yeah, I've been doing a decent amount of 3D printing, random like LED projects the last like 2 months, was like Arduino based, or I'm using there's my Oogie Boogie costume.
Oogie
Boogie. What else? Like I'm doing a lot of apparel stuff with sublimation, and some things I outsource and have manufacturers produce for me. And there's a lot of stuff that I was getting frustrated with manufacturers just not doing exactly what I wanted. So now I ended up buying a lot of equipment the last 2 months to start doing my own like apparel t-shirt pressing stuff. And a lot of apparel. And weird electronics. Yeah. Did the lens classes for BQE recently, and Tiny Whip.
Oh
I got one of those.
Those are awesome.
And then also did a little fundraiser for our Australia wildfire relief, which we raised like a little over $500. That was nice.
I was rocking the Tiny Roo at the fly after the protests this weekend.
Nice.
I went and I have a stickergasm and a Tiny Roo in my flight bag. The wombat stays at home.
Here's a skull I painted over the weekend.
Yeah, that's sick.
Cool.
The end game for that is going to be cool. And we'll definitely gonna let you guys strut your stuff. So, like, you're from New York originally, say, or?
I was born in Japan, but I moved to New York as a baby, so pretty much, yeah, New York.
Cool. And so you've been here most of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think New York has aided in your creativity, living here?
I guess so, yeah. I mean, especially Manhattan and like being in the city in Brooklyn, it just, you see weirdos every single day. So growing up in Long Island, actually, I was always the odd weird one out. Like I was altering my clothes in high school and got made fun of a bunch for like stupid shit like that. But yeah, now it just seems like I'm so normal compared to all the crazies here that it's definitely inspiring.
Yeah, I found some inspiration here in New York. Do you see yourself staying here? I know you and we've had these conversations, but this is for everybody else.
I hate the cold. If it wasn't cold, yes. New York is awesome for its weird quirks and how everything is open late. The fact that I can walk around my corner and have 3 open bodegas 24 hours and eat everything I want. I love New York. I just hate the cold.
The immediacy of New York for me is it's hard to let go of to some degree because like you need something from like Bix or something, or you need some art supplies, or you need anything. What do you need? It's fucking out there. It's like right out there. It's like down the street, or it's not a couple trains away, or whatever.
Spoiled.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say
That's
that.
why I love my neighborhood.
So like, what do you guys? Okay, well let's settle on 3D printing for a second, since we guys both do that. Like, so what are your guys' workflows like right now? Like, what are you using to design your parts, or like, where do you is it and why are you like, what gives you the inspiration for making these parts? Is like necessity is the mother of invention, or where's your inspiration come? So let's start with Gearhead. What are you primarily designing in?
I use Fusion 360.
Yeah.
For almost everything. I've had a lot of CAD experience with AutoCAD and AutoCAD Lite. This is just a familiar platform that has a lot of the same features that I was used to looking for.
Right.
I've tried that Tinkercad a little bit. Wasn't a huge fan of that. I tried Blender for a little bit. That was more for like 3D animation. Yeah, I think it's all capable software. This is just more familiar to me. So this is what I've stuck with so far. I just have like the Mentors version or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's free for so long, and then you have to renew your Mentor license or whatever, but it seems to be working for a while now, so maybe I got a bug or something in it, and it's just going to keep working.
Fusion's pretty much free for anyone if you're making, I think, like under 100,000 or something. If you're educational, hobbyist, small business, like it's all free. They're fucking awesome. I use Fusion too.
How long have you been using Fusion?
Probably a year.
Cool.
Maybe not quite. I get these I go in spurts. I'll go 2 months and use it all the time, and then I won't touch it for a while.
Yeah.
And depends what I got to build or make, or but it is pretty powerful program to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So you're using Fusion as well, say?
Yeah, for about 5-6 months, about 5 months, I guess. Yeah. And before that, I was like tinkering around in Tinkercad, and it was so limiting.
You know, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's funny. Some people say that, but I'm a fucking Tinkercad ninja. I make a lot of stuff
I mean-
in Tinkercad, and
Some people are. Some people can figure it out, but
Yeah.
I mean, I did a decent amount in Tinkercad, but it was just frustrating to do certain things. And honestly, Fusion I've tried learning multiple times and like kept giving up because the learning curve and the initial like step into it was kind of it wasn't intuitive.
Right.
And I spent like a solid, like I remember the first night that I really dug into Fusion. Took me like 4 hours just to make a fucking ruler like looking thing. Just to extrude that shape. And then Fusion crashed on me because my computer is 11 years old and a piece of shit. And the next day I like tried remaking it and I did it in like 4 minutes.
Right.
So once I learned the workflow of like Fusion, it was now I don't know how I lived so long without it.
yeah, there's a few little quirks with it that kind of drive me crazy, but for the most part, I can deal with some of it that bugs me.
No.
Yeah, for free software.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't really argue with the price, and I think that Fusion is incredibly powerful. I have it. I don't tend to use it often. I was talking to Say the other day. I personally focus on Vectorworks because I also do other drawing, like for my show production stuff.
It integrates with your job.
And it just makes sense for me to stay in that platform. And for me, like when I was learning Vectorworks when I first tried Fusion, and I didn't groove on it, and I grooved on Fusion more. I'm sorry, on Vectorworks more, and it's interesting. So do you guys have like, what about you, Artie? You make guitars. Do you draw, or are you just?
I use Rhino Cam.
Use Rhino?
Kind of, yeah.
Neat.
And it's because I got it when I went to learn how to build guitars and apprenticed at a shop in Michigan. They were just kind of getting into cutting with a CNC, and had a friend of mine who was working there, gave me a student license for it, and I updated it one time, and it's not ever asked me to pay for it. So I keep messing with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of people may or may not know. I think I've mentioned it before, and I always try to. But Artie is a luthier and makes guitars. Now, do you primarily make electric guitars or acoustic or both?
Whatever you want, really. I mean, most of my guitars are small body arch top, kind of built like an acoustic, but have pickups.
Make me a Mando?
Yeah, man.
Oh shit, we gotta talk.
Can you make me an oversized ukulele?
Absolutely, like a baritone size.
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know anything. So
They're real. It's like a mandocello. They're really fun at that.
I've always wanted
low
a
frequencies.
fucking Mando. That's one thing that I've always actually wanted.
I've got like a 3/4 one I started to build 5 years ago and just never finished. It's an A style.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Right on.
So
You
I
can
just
have your
bought.
name on it.
I just bought like a pack of 60, I think, guitar strings, but not for a guitar whatsoever.
Oh, really?
Good night, Cement Kid. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, what are you using that wire for? I saw
It's
you
like, I've got
a bunch of
2,000
piano
feet of
wire.
wire.
Yeah. It's like something crazy, like piano wire. I've got like bracing cable, like hanging cable.
Let me walk over and actually show it on the other camera.
All right, bet. All right, Mobile Say, here we go.
I use guitar string at work to clean out carburetor jets too. So
Yeah, I used to do that on my quads, man.
yeah.
Hi. So I'm using propellers on a tentacle mechanism. I don't like this one.
That's what you do with all the broken props that we have.
Yeah,
is you
when
make
we
stuff
send
like
them,
that
when
out
we
of 'em.
send Say stuff, this is the stuff she does.
Just a garbage bag full of broken props. I probably got that
It's a
many
tentacle.
over here.
So yeah, playing around with different lengths of the tentacle and like,
Here, let me-
different types of string.
Here, show us again, Say.
Can you bring it up full screen?
I did.
Oh, you're the man.
Oh, you just took over. Where's she at? Let me pin her. Here. All right, full screen, Say.
And go.
And go. So how many actuate are you using? Like you're gonna use servos for the actuation?
The first test, just because I had these little SG90s or whatever, SG9s.
Right.
Well, I had these lying around, so that was just going to be the first test, but I know I'm going to end up needing something with a little more power. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I'm thinking probably around like 12 to 30 tentacles that I'm going to end up making.
And those
Wow.
are going on the skull that you showed us previously,
yeah.
right?
So let me go grab that.
That's gonna be crazy.
Oh, she popped through the other side. Oh my god.
I know.
She's
It's fucking weird.
she's a
isn't it?
ninja.
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
comes off. I'm gonna mount all the shit inside, so just the tentacles are coming out, and it's gonna be like a Medusa head. And the goal is so that it's gonna be RC controllable. It's like a radio, and thinking just for like a tiny little force element kind of thing, where it's just gonna someone can walk up to it and like control it and like.
That would
the other
be
pilot.
so sick. Try to fuck with people racing.
That is the plan.
Yeah, it'd be awesome if they had to like fly over or around it and try to avoid the tentacles.
Yeah.
Oh, that would
It's
be
like
cool.
putt golf. You got to hit the
Yeah.
mouth when it opens
Right.
and go through it.
Right.
Yeah.
The mouse would be hard. I was thinking about that. If it can fit in there.
That's what we were talking about last night.
Yeah.
Is, I was saying it was like a putt obstacle. You got to roll it through the skull.
Yeah.
So you're talking.
There's a glow in the dark putt golf course close to me that I'd like to go fly my tiny whoop in.
Oh hell yeah!
I think it'd be so much
Perfect
fun.
whoop courses.
Or a Cinewhoop.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I've always wanted to play glow in the dark golf. I'm not gonna lie.
It's fun. That's the only one that's close to me anymore.
Yeah.
Glow in the dark golf, and they have a laser tag. That's awesome if you ever got a chance to play real laser tag.
Why the hell does Vice have 2 squares? That is weird.
He's getting greedy.
He is.
Magic.
What's going
When
on?
that
buddy?
skull comes out, weird stuff happens.
I want it all.
It's the
What is
voodoo.
this one? Can I stop the video? Oh. Can I hide him?
Yeah, no, I was having issues.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's
Oh,
gone.
there he
There he goes.
Okay,
Woohoo!
problem solved.
Now it's like the Brady
Psych.
Bunch. We changed squares, dude. It's crazy. It's like musical squares. What about
Here's a story.
so Red and Vice? Do you guys design or make anything else, or is it just primarily building stuff? What do you guys do?
My talent has nothing to do with quads. It's I'm a chef by trade, technically.
Sick.
That's
Went to
awesome.
culinary school.
I know who's.
That has everything
Yeah,
to do
when
with
I was
quads.
5,
You gotta
my
eat
dad
it.
taught me how to cook.
Cool.
That's actually what my mom Gearhead got taught to
And
weld.
your French
Say
background.
got to, yeah, it made sense.
Yeah.
Eventually, I did start doing culinary stuff because everybody was like, "Well,
Yo, you
people got to eat."
you fuck
I'm
with
like, yeah.
escargot?
So I know how to make escargot, no problem. My talent is in lamb. I do a really good rack of lamb. That's my
Mm.
Cool.
That sounds like an invitation to
Sounds
me.
like we need to buy some lamb for the next
Uh,
meetup,
yeah.
dude. For real.
I mean, I'm a 3D printer beginner. I have this. Does this count as a 3D
Oh, nice.
printer?
oh hell yeah!
Fuck yeah.
I have one of those too.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
So it is unopened, and I've had it for like 5 years. But I figured I'd take it out
Yo,
to at least feel like I know what I'm talking
So
about.
what I did at one point when I was trying to be lazy about color changes, is I took a piece of PTF tubing, and I fucking cut a notch in it. Okay, so I could see the filament, and I took 2 different filaments and I basically butted them, almost completely butted them right under the notch, and then I used one of them doodler things to shoot TPU in there, and fucking join them, make a bond, and then I would just kind of move it just to help shape it.
Nice.
And then I would pull it through and I'd roll it up and then run it through my printer that way. So those things are handy actually for little touch-up things, which
Yeah, I've done that too with splicing them together, and it works.
It
That's what
works.
a pallet does.
yeah, is exactly what a pallet does. Yep. Basically. It's interesting. I want to set a pallet up to do random and just feed it 4 colors and send it. You know what I mean? I've actually been working on some scripting to with my MMU. I'm working on a script right now to have it just fucking randomly change filament, so I can create like.
I mean, it should be a CMYK.
Well, I've been working on camo patterns and shit, so I'm trying to create some of those effects different ways.
Ooh.
Yeah, which would be insane. But you're talking a hell of a lot of tool changes, like a fucking shit ton of tool changes.
Yeah. Are you doing like digital camo
Yeah,
or more
I
of the
would.
rounder?
I would probably. Well, you know, I want to try both ultimately, but I've been working on
Speaking of that, BQE green.
Oh yeah,
with camo. Ooh.
Dude, like dude, that BQE green with a little bit of gray and a little bit of black and maybe just those 3, but like some combos like that would just be fucking off the fucking chain, like so.
I like that army green that BQE has.
Yeah, it's so good. It's my favorite. One of my favorite.
Very sought after. It seems.
I've seen some of like the khaki colored ones too, and they look pretty cool.
Yeah, the coyote kind of colored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
The
into those
Apex
too.
has one of those colorways.
Maybe a little brown.
Yeah, coyote actually looks really nice. Yeah.
I also want to do a red gray and like a red gray black.
Actually, I have a request, Chad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want the wood filament. Those just look funny because it just like it looks like wood.
Dude,
wood.
We should make something.
Is that a thing?
Sand it and stain it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So they literally,
Dude, that sounds awesome.
It's basically like printable powder, or sorry,
particle board, like
sawdust. Yeah,
it's like sawdust infused filament. Yeah,
they'll use it for cosplay. So like they'll make like the cosplay, like whatever prop it is that's supposed to have a wooden handle, and they'll just print it in that and have to do barely little work to make it like to finish it up.
That's sick. I didn't know anything about that. So they have different materials.
Oh no shit! You didn't know that?
No,
Yeah, they got stuff for carbon fiber.
Yes. Yes, they have carbon fiber.
Metal.
They have metal.
There's metal.
Metal stuff. Yeah.
Crazy.
The wood.
I've seen a magnetic one.
That's
that
awesome.
sticks to stuff.
What? I've not seen that one now.
So with resin,
I'm hearing of that.
With resin printing, I mix my own pigments in, so I can do like pearly or glow in the dark, or even like thermo heat sensitive pigments into it. And I've been curious about putting in like copper or some kind of other like conductive pigment to see if you can do like electro painting.
Sure.
On a print.
I mean, people are printing basically traces, and they're printing circuit boards that function. So that's pretty sick.
So many fucking cool things.
Fucking gnarly, dude.
Yeah, could you just like, I need to make this circuit right quick. Okay, it's done. Fucking little through hole.
I need a new nozzle.
I need a new ESC. I need a ground plane for a new ESC. Just drop the service mount on there. Bean says he's messed with wood PLA, chooses extruder tip up. Yo, but well, I don't. I'm gonna shamelessly plug one of my favorite nozzles, which is the Olsen Ruby. Yes, it's a fucking $100 nozzle, but you can run fucking everything through it, and it doesn't wear out. So your mileage will vary, but I run fucking carbon. I run carbon fiber through mine all day, and I got no issues.
I'm gonna plug my nozzle.
Yeah, you try to print wood or brass, even glow in the dark filament. Like glow in the dark filament will eat up a brass nozzle. Any sort of carbon fiber is so abrasive that if you're doing a relatively long print, you can actually change the diameter of the nozzle within that print. One print, like within an 8 to 12 hour print, you can actually wear out a brass nozzle with carbon. Because you're printing fucking sandpaper. Like basically, like.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's $100, Bean, but man, I'm telling you, you should check it out. It's a.
Sounds like a good investment, yeah.
I mean, because the reality is, you can run hardened steel. Now, hardened steel nozzles are. Now we're getting into the nitty gritty. I love it. So hardened steel nozzles are about $25 to $30, right? I don't know what the micro Swiss hardens are, but I think you have to use their extruder. But you like the E3D hardens are like, I don't know, $25, and they'll last longer. Okay, they will last a good while longer than brass when printing abrasives, but they will not last forever. Theoretically, as long as you don't break the ruby on the ruby nozzle, it will last as long as you have the machine, more than likely. So it's a good investment. I mean, it's, is it worth $100? I don't know. I mean, I've never had to replace either nozzle. I have two of them on two different machines. I've never had.
I don't have an
issues.
XM printer. How much does a brass nozzle generally or steel nozzle cost?
Brass nozzles you can buy fucking like, I don't know, $10 for 10,
like
10 of them or some shit. Like
Yeah.
it's like nothing.
Yeah, they're cheap.
Yeah, they're super cheap. But if especially in the case of carbon fiber, like you could,
if you're destroying it mid-print, holy shit.
yeah, you can actually fuck your print up. Like it may not fuck it up in like incredibly bad, but it's gonna affect it. Like
Dangerous FPV in the chat.
motherfucking
What up, brother?
Daniel, what's good? The fuck are you doing, brother? How you doing? Hell yeah. That's sick. So what kind of so Say's running a resin printer. What are you running? Standard FDM gearhead? What are you running?
Yeah, I got a CR10.
CR10?
Yeah. And me and Enoch bought them on about the same day.
Oh, sick.
And it's just been kind of a race to see who can print the more stuff. So we both got them dialed in about the same time. We both had our own issues with them, and we were on Discord every night, picking each other's brain on why it's doing this and why it's doing that. And everybody was on a kick over there on the Discord. Like 10 people bought printers within a month.
Well, yeah, you guys, Drone Disorders has a live Octoprint web stream feed in the fucking Discord, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, they've done some pretty crazy prints, some big X-class frames and pods and stuff like that, where like 6 or 7 days you could just tune in and watch it print for a while.
Yeah,
and
just time.
Cool.
That's insane.
Going.
So, just speaking to somebody who doesn't 3D print, what would you recommend as like a first printer for somebody getting into it?
The CR10's not a bad option. There's one, it's called what is it? Not a Prius.
A Prusa?
Ender.
Oh.
The Ender 3.
Ender 3 is like the entry level everyone's go-to.
A lot of people have Enders.
Yeah.
And then if you
like
afford
a mini CR10. What's that?
And then if you can afford it, the Prusa, right?
What's the bed size on the Ender?
It's
cards. I feel like everyone has it.
I think it's like 200 by 200 by 180.
Huh. And
it's like a mini version of a CR10.
What's the size of a CR10?
300, 300, 400.
It's 400 tall on Z.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I want to get the Prusa Mini.
Prusa's.
Yeah, so my printer does like 65 by 115 by 150, I think. Tiny.
Yeah, wow, this is small.
But it's resin.
But it's resin.
Okay. Resin.
You can print fingernails on cats' claws or something. They're so sharp.
Yeah, let me go get a pickle Rick.
The detail of a resin printer is incredible.
So Austin mentioned the Prusa Mini. What? How much are those? Do you know? Like $350 or something? You know how much they are?
I think they're like 300. But then if you want like all the sensors and stuff, it comes out to like 350 or 380 or something.
Yeah. What is the kind of entry? Because to be honest with you, I've done no research, but what does it cost to get into 3D printing?
What's an Ender cost? Like $180?
The Ender 3 is like $180, $180 to $200 if you can get them on sale, and they're on sale a lot.
Yeah.
A CR10's right under $400. It was like $400 with shipping and everything to my door. I would say the CR10 is kind of the like the Ruger 1022 of 3D printers. Like there is so many mods and
sick.
You know what I mean? You can just print anything for that. There's so many people that have them, and everybody's modded the crap out of them. So the first 2 weeks you spend printing doodads for your printer.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how much time do you have to put into set up for a cheap, like the Ender 3 or something?
You can be printing in like an hour.
That word.
From taking it out of the box to printing something.
Well, I mean,
was that a bootleg of 400, or was that a bootleg model or like original?
Yeah, show us that model again. Sorry.
Yeah, hold that thing up again.
Here.
This
That
was resin printed and then I hand painted it.
Sick.
Oh,
But
that's dope.
little
That's dope.
pictures.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
the detail on those rings. Is it like really fragile, little like glass almost?
What are the
Yes and no. So okay, so the main issue, the only like real annoyance I have with the resin printing is I can't print like tiny whip camera mounts because something that small and thin ends up being way too brittle. I've wasted so much money buying like durable resin and flex resin that's supposed to help with that kind of shit. And yeah, anything that small and brittle, like that kind of, just trying to do a little camera mount on a tiny whip, that shit does not work for resin printing. But yeah, once you get to like at least, I guess, a millimeter more, I don't know, like a millimeter and a half, like 1.5 millimeter at least thickness, then it gets somewhat durable. But yeah,
Redbeard wants to know if there's any fumes. Do you have any fumes from your resin printer?
not really. I bought like maybe 8 different brands of resin companies now, maybe, and there was only one in particular that was really bad. But either way, I usually leave my resin printer in a fume hood that I vent out the window.
Any trouble with cleaning?
Not really. It's toxic, so you don't really want to touch it while it's not cured. So I go through a lot of gloves, and then you just toss it into. I have a little mini ultrasonic cleaner, so water and IPA, and then curing it under a UV light. And it's not bad either. It's like. I mean, if I really wanted to print super fine details like I do for the D&D minis, then I'll do like 20 micron kind of size. Otherwise, I'm usually at like 50 or 100 just to print faster for like, cause I don't know if this is going to show on the camera because it's blue and I'm on a blue screen. But
The stylus.
yeah, I made a stylus holder that has the Tiny Whip logo in it.
Now, on a resin printer, can you print like 10 models at just as fast as you can print one?
Yeah, so that's a nice benefit. Where as long as it fits on the print bed, it's gonna take the same amount of time because it doesn't care what it's doing on that print bed. It's doing layer by layer, and that's the time. It's just the layer time of how long the UV is being exposed to cure the resin. So when I was doing the D&D minis, when I was trying to dial in the settings, I would only be printing one at a time, and those ended up taking like up to 9 hours to get the really fine resolution at 20 microns. But once I dialed it in, then I was able to fill the whole bed and then wake up overnight and wake up to like 12 new minis.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I need that for my D&D game.
That's
that
one
would
of
have
the
came in
things
clutch
about
back in the day doing Warhammer 40K.
Oh yeah, dude, right?
Dude.
Oh shit.
This would have saved
Yeah,
so
that's
much
the-
money.
the filament style printers. It just
It's
seems
also
to take
cheaper.
forever, and if I fill the bed up, the prints aren't near as good because I think one corner of them is cooled off by the time it gets clear to the other corner of the bed, and I get some layers separation. It depends what I'm printing, but for just little stuff like those little keychains that I made for the protest, I was doing 30 of those on a bed at once, and they'd take about 10 hours to do 30 of them. But you also had to wake up at 9 hours to change the color, and I missed a few of those.
Yeah, actually, I have most of the ones that I got were multicolor, but I did get one that was all red. I was like,
yeah, that was one I fell asleep at, and that was my first try at TPU, and TPU took way longer because I had to slow the printer down a little bit. So
yeah, I noticed. What are these? These are PETG or
Nice.
PLA.
PLA.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they made dog tags. I have the one that has the date, too, in the part.
Who printed the SD card holders for the UFDA crew?
Primitive actually designed them, and we've all printed them.
That's yeah, I got one of those.
The little butterfly knife.
Yeah, love
Oh
that.
yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, actually, he was gonna. I gotta get that because I need to print some.
It's fucking dope.
That
One
is
of my
dope.
favorite things about bad. Every time I have to go get a new SD card, I'm like,
So for all the non-printing, like, so first of all, let's talk about printers themselves. So like, Say's talking about resin printers, we're talking about filament printers, like, and then you have direct drive and Bowden and those categories. So like, as far as like the Ender and the CR10, like what for a filament printer, which takes filament off a roll and feeds it into the hot end somehow. Some of them go through a feed tube and some do not, right? So what is the Ender and the CR10 when you get those as far as entry level filament printers?
Mine is a CR10 is a Bowden tube factory. I believe they make a different extruder head that you can buy that makes it a direct drive, but I've had good luck with the extruder so far, and until it breaks, I'm not gonna change anything. So the Fang was probably one of the first things I printed. The little cooling duct that goes around the head. The stock one's a real cheap little metal guard, and it kind of starts hitting on stuff, and just doesn't do a very good job of cooling, I don't think, compared to what the Fangs are. And you'll be messing around changing filament, and you'll bump it and crack it off or something, and so you have to print another one. And I've got a pile of those things here that haven't survived.
So yours is set up as a Bowden right now?
Yep.
Yeah, I know that the Ender comes as a Bowden, right? So because
I think so.
Yeah, Redbeard's saying an Ender and a 35 direct drive conversion. Yeah, we've had some long conversations in our Discord about printing and printer choices.
The one thing that everybody complains on the CR10 is the noise. They make some little isolators that you can add to the stepper motors to get rid of the noise that they make while they're running. I haven't done that, and it sounds just like my washing machine when I'm upstairs and it's down here printing. So I don't really notice it.
It's kind of loud.
If it was in my living room,
seems kind of loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not as loud with my new microphone, but my old mic, it picked it up real bad. I had to always mute myself in Zoom. So,
yeah,
some people have really good luck with them, though.
My Prushas they're fairly moderate. They're pretty quiet, actually. And believe it or not, one of my quietest printers is a piece of shit i3 clone that I bought. It's all acrylic frame. That was my first printer, and it's actually pretty fucking quiet. It sits here in the living room. If it's running, my mic will pick it up a little bit, but it's pretty damn quiet for what it was. But so when you got now with the resin printer, I'm assuming it comes mostly assembled, right? Like there's not too much assembly.
Yeah, there wasn't really much to do with it. It like within the first 30 minutes of taking it out of the box, I'm like just leveling it and looking through what the hell it was doing.
Right.
Yeah, it was ready to go.
And you're saying the Ender is about an hour or so to assemble? Is that what you were saying? Or sorry, the CR10 gearhead?
Yeah, it's really putting it together was pretty easy. It's like 4 screws. You just put the gantry on it and you're done.
I'm a fucking glutton for punishment. I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's one plug-in that it took me like 15 minutes to find it. It's inside of the extruder head cage, and I had to get a little pair of tweezers to get it in there and plug it in. But once I found it, it's pretty simple. It took me longer to load like Cura and get a model and all that stuff loaded up to try it. I think they send you with an SD card that has a cat or a benchy of some type on it.
Right.
That you can just put in and try.
So Baldwin's asking, he's like, for everyone that has one, what's the percentage of uptime versus broken? I will tell you from my personal experience, my very first one, it was a lot of trouble because it was really cheap. It was under $200. It was under $200 and it was a kit, and I built it, and it was the first printer I ever built. And it took me most of a weekend to build that fucking thing, dude. So I'm a glutton for punishment. But to answer your question, ultimately, Baldwin, I would say that it's a higher percentage of uptime than downtime if you buy something decent and has a good community behind it that can help you. Like the Ender of the CR.
That's a big one.
The CR10 or the Prusa. If you get one of those guys, you're gonna be a lot better off. What I bought and when I bought it, because I bought mine a long time ago, and there was no community for it. There was very little support, and everybody was still figuring it out. So it was a big pain in my ass. And actually, after I got my 2 Prussias, it died at one point. I had something go crazy with the extruder. It was like thermistor actually was working kinda, but all my prints were fucking up, and so I just like benched it for most of a year, and then one day I just sat down and tore down the hot end and rebuilt it, and it works fucking great now. It's like flawless. But my Prussias as well. Every Prusia I got, I built as a kit to save the money because they're fucking expensive to get built or come pre-built. So being a glutton for punishment and a fucking total nerd, I'm like, I really want to know how this thing works and how it goes together. So therefore, if and when something does go wrong, I know
You know how to fix it.
I know how to fix it. And in that, I feel like I've fundamentally learned a lot more about 3D printing in general, like the mechanics behind it and how the G code is controlling the stepper motors and how to bias your motor currents and all the tweaky shit I learned like right from the get-go, and it made my learning curve fucking hellish. But but at the end of the day, I'm in a much better place because I have a very strong grasp of the technology.
Yeah.
You have any interest in building a CNC machine now?
I'm very interested in building CNC as well.
Have you seen mine?
I don't remember.
Me too.
So B-Rad.
I've been looking at
it.
a bunch of attachments for the CR10. They make a laser attachment and some engraving attachments. And
Really? Holy shit.
I mean,
Is the gantry strong enough for any of that
for
stuff?
a laser,
I mean,
yeah,
obviously, but
yeah, laser probably.
I have a baby CNC machine.
Single game.
Oh wow.
wow, it's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's custom built for me for Christmas.
That's a sick Christmas gift.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
Anybody
out there that wants to any size CNC for Christmas?
It's not totally done being built yet. There's still like a few parts that are being machined for it. So I haven't actually run it yet, but I'm excited.
A couple of our guys are getting serious right now, and like they're 3D printing fucking water shrouds for the cutting tool, and like Cement Kid, who was in the chat earlier but had to go, and then B-Rad. There's a CNC channel in the Discord, our Goon Squad Discord, that those guys are fucking going to town right now, and I'm just sitting back like I want to build one, and I'm eating popcorn watching this, and like dude, I so want to build one now. Like I'm so about it. I think that the mess is going to be hellacious, though. Like they're making water baths because they're cutting carbon, and you really want to cut carbon in water because otherwise the bi-cut is fucking terrible for you. I think Brad's set up out in his garage, but Cement Kid lives in New York, so I don't know where his shit is. But have you had any interest in building a CNC, Eric?
I've thought about it.
Yeah.
I kind of priced some out, and I wouldn't have a spot big enough to fit what I would want to build.
I've been using someone else's currently, like learning on it, and they're fun.
Yeah.
It's just like it opens up a whole different world from 3D printing, and just having that combination of the two is really cool too.
Additive and subtractive. I mean, the cool thing about it though is CNC and 3D printing is pretty much the same shit. It's just reversed. Literally.
Exactly. It's the opposite direction.
You're just controlling a different kind of motor at the end of the day. And honestly, I've been looking to build like nothing too big, but like, bigger than a big paper cutter, like a decent sized deck, but just get a bunch of extrusion and just knock up a frame and build a bunch of aluminum extrusion together and get a bunch of steppers and go for it. That's basically been my
buy a router.
There's a website, I believe it's called openbuilds.com. Brad's been telling me about it. I have to look in the Discord, but openbuilds.com, and it basically shows you like there's mental DIY routers. And it's just like, wow.
Cool.
Yeah. It's all open source router.
That's cool.
Nerdism.
The guy that does my grappling hooks for me, he's got it's a CNC plasma table that they throw a sheet of whatever up on, and he can knock out we do like 25 hook things for me in like 10 minutes. It takes the old 3.5-inch floppy disks.
Oh shit.
He had to buy a special drive to plug into his computer so he could put it on a floppy disk, and it goes right into the side of the printer or the cutter, and
So better.
starts cutting them
my
out.
My neighbor's actually got a plasma cutter like that.
The thing above me that says my name, that was actually CNC'd. And that was
Nice.
one of the projects I learned on. That was pretty cool.
Hell yeah. What is it, acrylic or something?
Yeah, the frosty acrylic, and then the black part was actually like pink insulation foam, and then like truck bedding liner, like sprayed onto it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So let's fucking, yeah, I was kind of hoping I was gonna be able to snag one of those CNC guys tonight to come on, but we'll probably do some more CNC centric stuff later in a further episode. But definitely, I can't wait to see what you do with that one. Say, like, that's fucking mad. I didn't even know I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. They're a ton of fun, man. There's just endless possibilities.
I already have a few ideas. I have one thing already modeled that as soon as it's ready, it's going to be like my test print or cut. Yeah. I'm doing like a leather debosser, so I can press, like, let's say I wanted to put my logo on like a leather notebook. I have to press for it. So now I'm just going to fit it in and then machine my logo into it, and then have a hole on the side because it actually needs to be heated up to fit the TS100 in. And then use that as the hot end, and like it'll press the leather.
Actually, I just ordered a TS100 today.
Oh, it's a life changer.
Yeah, I don't even use my Weller much anymore just because it's so convenient, easy.
I just got a TS100 like 2 months ago.
I was fixing my own shit and other people's shit at the UFDA house this weekend. We did open heart surgery on Waxfire's radio at one point because his power connector was broken. He had a cold joint, and I was wreaking all kinds of havoc. And then we were whooping so hard this weekend. I was fucking destroyed my camera in my whoop, and I had to. So yeah,
I haven't seen any of the
in the Mobula.
Mm-hmm. I cracked the lens in the Mobula. You haven't seen any of the what, Eric?
The whoop videos.
I know. Well, I know Teal got some footage, and I think I have some DVR, but I still haven't managed.
Matty Bluntz has a nice edit with some of that.
Where? Oh, it's in his edit? I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's in the edit. It's pretty deep in. I mean, I think it's a pretty long, like 12-minute, 14-minute edit.
Oh, shit. We'll have to dig that up. I know.
While on the subject of TS100, I just want to say, I cut the case and I put a magnet in. It's picking up my blue screen. Best fucking mod. It sticks everywhere now.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I need that.
Yeah, seriously, cut the case, glue a magnet in.
I got this little thing to place it down.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Because I kept burning my mats. Yeah, I kept burning mats.
No more. Now I just find whatever metal surface around me and I'm just like, plop, plop.
You could probably just 3D print a magnet thing that would kind of clip the body.
Yeah, but then that ends up being bigger. This is like, I actually cut it in and like glued it in, so it's like completely flush.
I did that to the end of my bench, so I can just like.
She's a maker, Chad.
I'm suggesting making something. She was actually subtracting something.
That's true. I'm into the CNCing now.
Making by subtraction.
Today is making. There's multiple kinds of making: subtractive, additive. What up? Catch you later. It's good.
Hey, earlier on, while we're kind of around 3D printing still, Redbeard was asking, "What do you guys do to dry your filament?"
You have to dry your filament?
I throw it in the oven at like 200 degrees for like an hour.
Wait, why do you have to dry your filament? Sorry, I don't do FDM printing, so this is...
Filament absorbs moisture out of the air. And the longer it sits outside, it ends up collecting water inside of it. And then as you're printing, it's hot enough to boil the water, and it leaves little like bubbles and little pits and...
funky.
It will, the hot end will actually
little imperfections.
If it gets
if
it gets moist,
what about
it will fit? It will actually pop really, like you'll hear it popping and fizzing, and it actually ruins the surface of your print.
So, okay, so what about a print that is finished, like something that you did then extrude and print out? Does that still collect moisture?
Prints can collect moisture, but it's not necessarily going to affect the finish or form. Post printing,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
literally because the moisture in the hot end is so hot, and especially with this becomes more predominantly an issue with high temp printing. So like when I do nylon carbon fiber or any nylon for that matter, or even ABS, the hotter your hot ends, the more likely that water is going to fucking vaporize, and it's got to go somewhere. It creates pressure, and it creates popping and fizzing and other effects, and it will ruin the surface of your print. So with nylon CF, I actually bake it at about 170 for more like 8+ hours, and I'll start it. Some nights I'll start it before I go to bed, and just let it sit overnight in the oven on super low, or I'll do it all day. And
Interesting.
nylon CF can actually absorb too much water to be printable in like 12 to 24 hours, depending on your environment. So it's pretty important. TPU, like, I mean, so we've had a lot of conversations about TPU, okay, recently in the Prussia group, and I've got a couple of maker friends that do good work, but we were talking about.
Do y'all touch extruders?
Hey. But anyways, man, so a lot of people, like one guy started talking about drying TPU, and throughout the conversation, I'm just like, no, what? Like, I've left TPU sit out for months and months and months, and grabbed it off the thing and chucked it in and printed fine, you know, like, and we are all agreeing, like Saint Smart being the TPU of brand at the time of discussion. And what it came down to is those dudes were printing incredibly hot for TPU. They were printing like 135 or more ish. And they were seeing more issues with moisture in their local environment. I've never had that issue in New York. And I also don't print TPU that hot. What do you print your TPU at?
I usually when I get down to about half a roll, I have to cook it for a while.
Really?
When I first open it, it prints good for the first half the roll, and then it usually just gets sat somewhere. I keep it in like a tub back here with all those little packets that
Silicone packets.
Yeah, I just throw everyone in that bucket, and it eventually gets left open, or I forget a roll, or it won't all fit in there.
So what's your environment like though? Do you live in a humid environment, like more humid environment?
Yes, yeah, it's pretty humid.
You're down south a bit. I'm sorry, where are you getting? I'm spacing. Where are you?
I'm right smack in the middle, Nebraska.
Okay.
South
yeah,
Central.
it's either cold and rainy, or cold and snowy, or hot and muggy.
Now, what is your average?
And I'm in a
TPU temp, your print temp.
I print almost everything at 230.
Really?
230 on the nozzle and 60 on the bed. I even print PLA at 230.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then all I got to do is adjust the bed settings when I'm switching between materials, and I got to slow it down a little bit. But
we went through
for
this
TPU or for PLA.
I'll be right back, by the way.
No worries.
I print the bed is at 60 for TPU, and I print at 40 for PLA.
Now, is it necessary to print at different temperatures for different filaments?
I've had them not pull. I like, as it's doing, TPU tends to like drag on the nozzle a little bit more, and it will pull a print off the bed. Especially on like when I'm doing like squirt ducts, where it's a big long circle, but there's only just a little ridge that's holding it down to the bed. I've ruined so many ducts trying to print those without. I usually put a brim on the bottom of them to keep them stuck to the bed.
So I'm gonna challenge. We're gonna have a challenge over the next week or two. You and I we're gonna go through and do some stuff, because I have a theory. There's a couple of theories actually. Number one, and I do this regularly. I print at different temperatures, and then I chuck shit in the freezer, and I pull it out after measuring it with an infrared thermometer, and then I try to tear it apart to see where my layers actually break at. you know, if and when and how, what, you know. So I actually Sharpie the part with the temp I made it printed at, but I don't believe you need to print TPU above 220. I find that I think that if you have the right cooling and the right setup, that like the side effects from the high extra heat become detrimental much above 220. I went through a big old thing with the multi-extruder guys, and these guys were printing at 235 and stuff, and they would get really awesome surface finish, but like bridging and overhangs and shit, they were just not working out. Support was more problematic. But on the other hand, if you print too low, you don't get good layer bonding, and you're more likely to have a break when your part gets ice cold or colder. Like when you get free.
I've had a lot more clogged nozzles when it was really low. Like I tried printing around like 200, 210.
So you know what it is? It's because you have a Bowden and you need more retraction to get your print clean. And so here's the problem. Here's why you start having problems. It's a combination. If your bed is too hot and your nozzle's too hot, you can experience what's called heat creep, and you can actually get it to the point where your filament is jamming up in the fucking nozzle, especially even on a direct drive. Because then if you have a direct drive and you have an extruder, the extruder motor itself will start getting hot, and it all adds up and your filament can actually get too soft in your heat break, and it will actually start jamming up. So we went through. So with the reason why I bring this up is because with the multi extruder, I have 5 filament paths going into my extruder, and it's a hell of a lot of tool changing, right? And it's a hell of a lot of retraction, generally speaking. And in all of that, to fine tune for all those tool changes, we found that, again, much over 220, 215, 220 on most of these machines, you start having other problems, and it becomes detrimental to speed and finish ultimately in terms of overhangs and bridges and shit like that. So it's interesting.
How fast do you print it? TPU at?
I've printed from like 20 to 45. I found that up around 45, 55, again, doing bridging and overhang tests, I start seeing more artifacts in the overhangs. So you know the Thingiverse, man, they've got all them fucking, there's all these different kinds of test pieces you can get, and there's
bridging tests,
and so we went crazy, we went ham on it, like with just a really simple overhang one. It's just one piece that had a hollow section going through like the center sideways, and then it had an overhang, and that was it. And I printed down to like 195 up to like 235, and at speeds from 20 to about 45, 55. And I went through everything, and I found that at around 220 and 35 millimeter, I got some of the nicer overhangs. I mean, slower and a little bit cooler will give you a nicer overhang. I mean, realistically, like 215, 210 at like 25 is going to give you fucking sick overhangs, but it's going to take a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you could get away with that 220, 35 millimeter. The faster you print, the hotter you might have to go to keep your flow rates up. That's one.
Yeah, I'm doing the math because I use Simplify, and it's millimeters per minute instead of millimeters a second.
Right. Yeah, Bill and I have these conversations and have to do the fucking math all the time.
Yeah. I usually at TPU I'm at 2000 millimeters a second. 2000 to 2200, which would be 2200 divided by 60.
I want to say
is 36 millimeters a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's usually where it prints about the best. I mean, I usually will slow it down on the printer as I'm watching it, as it's doing its thing.
I think 30 is a really safe number for most people. But again, because of the Bowden system, now this is one thing that I wanted to bring up, and that's why I was asking about Bowdens. Is like, because I've had some Bowden printing, done some Bowden printing with my first generation MMU. And man, I mean, the retraction was fucking bananas. I mean, I was pulling, like, I've seen Bowden guys running like 11 to 15 or more millimeters of retraction for their
That's
fucking,
crazy.
It's a lot.
I want to say I do 5 or 6 maybe.
Yeah.
Is what mine's set at.
But I mean, with a direct drive, you can get away with 1.5, 2, 3 tops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I when I go down that low, I get a lot of stringing. And
Yep.
I've got it. I just backed it down to where the stringing is very, very minimal.
But that's been the combination for me. Like again, with the temp, because the higher you're printing, the higher temp you're printing, the more retraction you're going to need to eliminate stringing. All right,
Mhm.
you know. So again, it's about finding that balance for your particular machine. Everybody's machine is different, but I do find that Bowdens tend to have more problems with stringing and need a lot more retraction, and potentially a bit more heat. Oh, say bounced for a sec.
I think I don't know if Cura has this option, but there's a simplify thing where it will stay above the print when it's moving around. That helped a ton. If it's just traveling around, it'll follow the print, but it raises up and it's not extruding anything.
Right.
So if it is going to string, it's going to be, in the printed material anyways.
Right.
Rather than crossing over like an open section of the table where it's going to leave a big gooey.
That's a good point against dual extruders, but unfortunately, many folks I'm not really doing a lot of production printing at the moment, but Bill Brissett obviously is, and I used to do a lot of production for Bill, and unfortunately, when you're trying to crank out 25 pieces, it becomes a problem. You know what I mean? If you have 25 piece beds in TPU and you don't want any fucking stringing between the pieces, because that's going to leave scarring or zits, you really have to get it dialed in,
And he prints sequentially, doesn't he?
I think Bill is printing sequentially at the moment. Yeah, you might be right.
I've thought about doing that because he had a post on Facebook about it, and he changed filament colors or ran out of something, and he has one print in the middle that's
A different
dual colors.
Right.
Yeah, and then the next one's a solid, the next whatever, blue or whatever. You don't have to do the whole bed, half and half.
Sure.
I've thought about doing that, but I don't know how to get it all set up. You'd have to only work at one side of your bed and work across it. You couldn't come back because the print would run into the gantry and then you'd be
the sick thing is
making a mess.
With the MMU, you can print every print in a different color.
Right.
Sequentially. The Prusa slicer has sequential printing, no problems. I'm not sure about Cura. I do use Cura a lot. I actually use the Cura engine. I don't really use Cura. Because on my one TPU machine, my profile's dialed and I just fucking throw shit at it. You know what I mean? I'm not upgrading it. I'm not doing shit. It works fine. It's an old machine. It just fucking kicks out TPU and
that's kind of how mine is anymore. I've done the tinkering and now I just load stuff into it and hit the button and it goes. I select whatever profile I have.
That's the promised land, right? I mean, that's what you do all the upgrading so you can do.
I mean, that's the goal. I mean, I'm a fucking glutton for punishment. So I've got the MMU system that I'm still tinkering with. It's now more down to profile than mechanics, but mechanics was a challenge to get that going. Like I said, the tool changing to run 5 filaments up, retract one, add another one, print for a while, wipe tower, dealing with stringing, dealing with oozing and all that sort of thing, and in between, and trying to figure it all out.
I couldn't imagine doing that. Even just keeping up with one during color changes is nuts.
I mean, the cool thing is that for color changes, it's stupid easy. Like all that sort of stuff is stupid easy, but it's when you start getting fancy and you want to, I don't know, like, even when I did this was a challenge to get set up, but it's just, it's just cool because I just did 2 different angles, in that change, but there's a little bit of layer cack that I don't like. And the print overall isn't as it is clean as my single color profile for whatever reason.
Right.
So, but this is kind of a decent example of what you could do. It just takes a lot more setup, and then you have to split your model up, a couple different ways.
Right.
But the cool thing is, if you were just doing lines, that shit's easy. If you do want to do every sequential print a different color out of your 5, that shit's easy. And there's even some scripts out there that will let you run up to 10 colors and will basically call for a color change. So it will run 5 colors, and then in the meantime, you can change the 4 behind it. You know what I mean? And then it will switch back, and it's like alerting you to let you know that you can fucking do an up to a 10 color changed,
That's
which is
crazy as
fucking
fuck.
bananas, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's-
I'm
Wow.
not
Sounds
sure
like a
if the
mind fuck
Mosaic
to me.
does that yet or not, but that's just like a G code thing. You know what I mean? You just add the extra extruders, and it literally shows up in Prusa Slicer like you have 10 extruders. It's fucking crazy.
Wow.
This is pretty wild. But that kind of automates the process of traditional color changing. But I've noticed that with big crazy multicolor shit, and even with this, I mean, this was like a couple hundred tool changes just to do that. And it's this,
Wow.
you know what I mean? It was crazy. All right. Let's see. So
Here, I'm gonna show this video real quick. This is that CNC plasma table
oh shit.
that was cutting my hooks for me. I've got it.
Neat.
Hopefully that's not blasting. I have it muted on Premiere, but
No, it's good.
Oh, that's good.
yeah, he can just hit the button and cut out as many of these things as I need.
Plasma
just-
cutter.
Yeah. Electricity and air.
That's sick.
Everybody needs a plasma cutter, man. I mean, every maker should have a plasma cutter,
or at least access to one.
right?
He got this thing from the community college when they got an upgraded one, and I think he paid like $8,000 for it, and it'll take a 6 by 10 foot sheet of steel.
Nice.
Easy.
It's giant. It's a giant. I mean, there's no fitting that in your living room, but
I wonder how much that whole machine weighs.
probably a lot.
My neighbor's
Yeah.
machine's about it cuts like an 8x4 sheet, and I mean it's other than the table that it sits on, it's actually not too crazy.
So we should That's cool. What do you use the grappling hooks for again? For quad retrieval or what?
Yeah, and then I weld a socket on the end so you can change your props,
No
like a
sh-
T handle
Nice.
Oh shit.
and
Are
and
you-
a bottle opener.
Badass.
Sick.
Just what, a little bit of fucking paracord, you're good to go. You could how much paracord can I wrap around one of them?
I don't know. Actually, I make I 3D printed. Let me get my other. Stop this. I usually print spools out to put the paracord on.
Oh shit.
I usually it's 25
Makers.
feet's about as far as you want to throw that thing. It's pretty heavy.
What do they weigh? I mean, we can wing it.
They're about a pound with the cord because I ship them usually in the mail, and they come up to like just too heavy for cheap mail.
Yeah.
I have to put it in like a flat rate box or whatever.
Can we launch it from a slingshot?
If you want, don't let it come back and hit you though, because it'll do some damage.
Yeah, yikes.
We need some way to fling it. That's dope. So do you have a website? I guess I should have asked you that sooner.
No, I don't.
You're just doing it. You're just
We
selling
did
them
have
on-
them on. We were gonna have them on the UFDA store. And I just haven't ever. I sent Mike a whole bunch of them. And then he went through some shit, and they kind of disappeared. I don't know where there's a big box of them somewhere.
You get some of those out there. I need one. I want one.
Yeah, me
You gotta
too.
let us know how to get
But-
one, man.
Yeah.
Drop us.
I think I've got 2 left right now. I think a batch of 25 or 30. So usually they're just giveaways, and I just send them to people.
Right.
I have yet to really sell one,
A decent amount would buy it.
but I traded a tiny whoop for all of them, so
Nice.
I'm not out much.
Fair trade.
Oh yeah.
But I've done, everybody that gets one usually gets their name, or whatever they want it to say, and then I'll make them something,
Oh yeah.
wrap them up in cord, and
AJ in the chat. What's good,
this
Unruly?
that was Chris's. That one turned out kind of neat.
That's sick.
That's another fusion.
Prim popping in.
Oh shit!
Nice.
What's up, Prem? Fucking that's dope. So let's see, where are we at time wise? We should let's see.
You got any other videos? Throw up.
I've got one of his to play. Let's if we want to cut to that for a minute and we can discuss.
Oh, that was the trophy build
Nice.
for the pit bike race that never really happened.
Is that
I
the
believe
one
Tack.
that-
I believe Tack has it. It was for a Rampage.
Yeah, I remember that. That's awesome.
All right, so
That was gay that it didn't happen.
this is making stuff for UFDA on Gearhead's channel.
That's like an 8-minute video. You can like fast forward it to the cool shit if you want.
Chad has an affinity to watch the total video.
Oh yeah.
Motorcycle throwdown, whether it's mini bikes or big bikes or anything, and my world of FPV and motorcycles.
Oh shit. Oh my
Hey,
bad.
Chad, get that.
Combined.
Yeah, my bad.
I want to be even a little bit part of it.
I didn't get to go to Rampage, but I mailed
I'm putting together something
the trophy to Mike.
for the
He
winter.
gave it out.
I found a whole bunch of parts and pieces of mini bikes that I'm making a trophy for you guys. Whoever wins it is gonna get a cool trophy. So that's today's project. So yeah, let's fire up the welder and see what we can put together.
I like building stuff like this. This is one of the few things that it's not really functional. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was just decoration, but it was still fun.
Oh, I love this thing. I remember seeing it.
Yeah, this was super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do
So-
believe Tack has it.
I have a picture of it somewhere.
Then what are you gonna do? Give it away?
Yeah, whoever wins the pit bike race is gonna get it.
There's two people racing.
My boss was chewing me out for using all the good parts. He's like, "You're not using good spark plugs, are you?"
There's two guys talking shit on each other all for the last 2 fucking weeks. They still got a month before the fucking race.
Yeah, I was really bummed that pit bike throwdown didn't get to really happen, but
First,
Catherine
Oh, I'm
nicked it real
freaking-
fast.
Frosty's foot.
yeah, Frosty broke his foot,
Oh my god. Oh,
and Dustin had some family emergency stuff he had to go take care of, so he had to leave as soon as he got there.
Dustin actually came.
Yeah, he was unloading his tent when he got the phone call. He had to load back up and take right back off. He didn't even get out of the truck.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't even see him. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think his grandma or something had to go to the hospital or got sick or something, and as soon as he got there, he had to turn around and go back home. So
I didn't realize he actually
Damn.
came all the way out. I thought he kind of like cut out early, like he found. I was like, hey, I can't. I'm not gonna be able to make it. I got some shit going down.
now he showed up and had to leave.
The good old rubber mallet.
You could take off another thousandth, but you could just pound it on there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I never told Tack, but he probably shouldn't carry it by the top because that'll probably come apart at some time. There's nothing holding it together, I don't think.
So Tack, if you're out there or you watch
Yeah.
this ever, don't hold it from the top.
Don't swing it at anybody.
I love reusing random ass parts from totally odd things for not their intended uses and making like art out of it.
Check out the precision on that.
Yeah.
That was lined up beautifully.
I actually just used a bearing from a hard drive for like a 3.5 inch like internal hard drive for a mat for a 24-inch fabric cutter because it spins so nicely.
It's Banshee in the background.
That bike on the bench was one that I built for a guy. He brought it in as kind of a basket case.
That a
was kind of
CB
fun
750
project.
motor?
Yep. It's got a foot shifter, hand clutch. Had to make all that shit from scratch. That
Good
was
call,
kind of fun.
Austin, dude. I had a 754 barrel. That was my jam.
Was that a 76?
I couldn't tell you. The motor's not original to that frame. He just brought in a motor, so.
I had
knows
a
what that's
73.
Well, let me ask you this: was the case sand casted?
Mine
No,
was.
this would have been a later one. It
Yeah, 'cause-
was probably 78.
Okay,
One
so
of the
it wasn't
later
sand
ones.
casted then, because the sand casted ones had a
Things looking pretty
propensity
cool.
for just
I
grenading.
might just keep it.
Yeah. And they're worth a lot more money if you can find one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been dying to get one for years.
He's got quite a stock. Everyone that comes through the shop that's for sale, he ends up buying it and just keeping for parts. He's got 2 or 3 of those 750 choppers.
No, I gotta make it a cafe racer.
Yeah, that's what I'm into, is the cafe stuff. I did the chopper thing for a while, but never really got into it riding them.
There's a reason why they're called bar hoppers.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't really go far on those things.
Yeah, you can't get out of the wind, man. You just get blasted. You can't. I like to be able to tuck in behind something and
Mm-hmm.
let me see. I got a picture.
Where's your eye protection?
I'm squinting. That's my protection.
That natural eyelash protection.
Whatever happened to dubstep? I stopped hearing about
That
it.
wub wub. That Wookiee
It's
music.
alive and well.
They went back to drum and bass because it's superior.
Drum and bass.
Yeah, well, there's no question that drum and bass is superior, but it always has been.
I know, but these new kids don't know. They think drum and bass just came out of nowhere, came out of thin air. I could talk about music for a while, so let's not get into that topic.
Well, yeah, I've made music as a maker.
This guy.
That little skull was the funnest part to make on the top of it.
Yeah, look dope.
Spoiler alert if you haven't seen this video, but and I did it first try. I didn't. Usually it takes me one, or I'll throw a couple of them away before I get
Yeah,
it
yeah.
looking like I want it. I tried doing some woodworking at one time, and that's something you cannot screw up on. I'll pound on a piece
There
of
we
metal
go.
all day
Look
long
at that.
before I got to cut a piece of wood.
Yeah, wood is not forgiving.
Yeah, man. You can always take it away, but putting it back on is a pain in the butt.
So cool.
Cut it twice, and it's still too short.
Bad motherfucker.
It came out amazing.
It's so
And that was
nasty
another
in person, man. It
fusion.
looks literally it's incredible.
Hell yeah, that's sick, dude. I was thinking, what was that total build time like?
Probably 3 hours, maybe.
Wow.
One
Damn.
afternoon.
You were
Fast work, bro.
damn, bro.
Damn. I'm impressed.
Hell yeah.
Not what I expected.
Well tooled shop, man. That makes.
I
the
got that
difference.
stuff's just everywhere. You
Yeah,
just
that's what I'm
you
saying.
can't throw a rock and not hit junk like that laying around. So
That's
Well,
dope.
that was what was great about working for somebody with a shop like that. Just had everything you needed or wanted.
Yeah, I used to work in a
Spread those wings,
metal
buddy.
shop.
I love that.
And when I was in college, I worked in a metal shop. I was telling Garrett I TIG welded and stuff, and I did a lot of rotary, where you would actually like put tubes and like a handle for something and a disc on top, and you would chuck the handle in a turret, and then you would spin the part, and you would fucking weld it as it was spinning, and then you would like we would build temperature sensors. That's why it's like how I put myself through school. But like when I wanted my own personal project, it was sick because we had everything. We had a fucking sandblaster. We had all sorts of crazy like polishing and grinding, you know, tools and wheels. Like I used to like have to polish these discs until they were like a mirror finish, and then we'd have to go check them under a microscope because they were being used in pharmaceutical process. So you didn't if they had pits, they could build up bacteria and grow bad things in the process. So it was pretty insane.
Yeah, any of the food processing or medical stuff has to be x-rayed and microscoped. And
so say you've been doing a lot of like tiny whoop like frames and dyeing and stuff, right? Like what and actually you've also been, I don't know if you're ready to talk about like just the stuff you've been doing with frames yet, as far as all your
Yeah, I could talk about stuff. Okay. So, like, backstory, 2 years ago, I was doing something totally different, a logo for Droners series, and the background of that project, of that logo, actually the logo display is on my wall. I don't know if you can see it up there. But anyway.
Hell yeah. And that was on the intro for Droners, right?
Yeah, so I made that logo display, and then the whole background of it was like broken drone parts. And Newbie Drone came through big time and donated a shit ton of their stuff that didn't pass QC. So, I mean, and like maybe about half a dozen people sent me like boxes of broken gear and like frames and motors and just everything. It was great. So I kept what I could since then, and a bunch of the boards were fixed. All those propellers earlier for those tentacles, that was from Newbie Drones, non-QC passing, like non-balanced props. And then I also I had leftover 166 tiny whip frames, I believe.
Wow.
Jesus. How tall was 166 tiny whoop frames?
So I'm 5 foot tall, and it was a couple inches above me. So it was close to like probably 5'5", or like between 5'5" and like 6 feet of whoops.
So yeah. I saw the picture you'd posted, but unfortunately I couldn't find it.
I can just grab some.
Say has a metric shit ton of tiny whoop cockroach frames.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've got one.
I mean, here's just
two if you count the one that's flying.
Here's just a handful, but yeah, I have like I dyed them in a whole bunch of different colors.
They turned out really good. The color looks
What do you used to dye them with?
So I know everyone freaking always recommends using RIT dye. I hate RIT dye for tiny whip frames. They don't work as well. So I use this other brand called Jacquard, and I dyed poly. It happened to be on sale when I was at the store recently. So I picked up some extra colors. But it comes in a powder form. I use about a quarter of the powder that comes in it when I'm dyeing frames, and that's enough where I was dyeing about, I think, 20 frames per color, and I dyed 6 or 7 different colors total. So the dye is pretty intense. The only color I've had trouble with was red. Did not come out red, and that was actually both was RIT and Jacquard.
Yeah, red is a pain in the butt.
But the magenta came out freaking amazing. This is actually not my dyed magenta, but I have a video. If you guys want to go to my YouTube channel ever, there is a video where I talk through the whole process. And
wait, this video, this one.
Oh,
here,
you have it?
Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, the music's annoying. Fun fact, my camera was not focused, so I just decided let me put a shit ton of annoying music and over-the-top graphics on it. But yeah, basically just boil water. I add soap and dish soap to, what is it? What's the scientific term for it? It like changes the water's
Viscosity.
yeah, viscosity, and like just helps it penetrate better. So I just do it just because it's always in the kitchen anyway. And for the most part, about 15 to 30 minutes is usually enough to get the frames to the colors that I did get them. Yeah.
So how hot is the water? Is it boiling hot?
Yeah, I usually keep it on just a low simmer. Like once it boils, yeah, I just lower it. And then it evaporates. So every once in a while, I'll top off more water depending on how many frames I'm dyeing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it came out pretty vibrant. Not as vibrant, I would say, as like Newbie Drone's actual magenta cockroach frame, but
Good to know.
yeah, I
Hell
like
yeah.
it.
Did you do Did you do a hydro dipping video?
I did do a hydro dipping video. I actually have a frame right here.
Yeah, let's talk about hydro dipping a little bit because we haven't.
Have you tried dyeing TPU? Does TPU dye?
Okay,
Somebody else asked
so
me that.
I've done a whole bunch of stuff. I've done same process as hydro dipping, but with nail polish water marbling. I did a bunch of 3D prints with that, and it kind of stays on, kind of flakes off. It's cool for a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did a bunch of hydro printing, which I still can do, but I was never totally happy with like some of the blacks and the color vibrancy. It always came out a little washed out because I was printing my own actual hydrographic film.
Now that skinny bitch is a dip.
wow.
That's a dip, right?
Yeah, this is a dip, like that. I liked how the dip came out enough not to
It's pretty good.
strip it, but not enough to actually sell it. So I never actually released it. So now I just keep it around.
And do you
Oh.
and like do you recommend people like dip their frames? Like, do you have any tips or tricks or?
So yeah, I do have a whole video series on how to paint frames in like various different mediums that I use. Cause I tried acrylics, other types of paints, airbrushing. So when it comes down to it, the priming is all the same. You want to sand it a little bit and then prime it with a nice primer. I use Montana spray primer in white. And I usually buy them like 6 cans at a time because I'm dyeing a shit ton of stuff. I love it. Go-to primer. Sponsor me.
That's what I'm saying.
But
Montana's
yeah.
a
Oh
big
yeah. When you're sanding it, you know, make sure you're wearing gloves and a respirator mask. You don't want to breathe in any of that. And you don't have to go crazy sanding it. You just want to scuff up the surface a little bit just so the paint has something better to
Right.
do so it doesn't just chip off.
Did you now? I've done some lamination of carbon, and when you're talking about sanding, you're talking mostly about sanding carbon or just in general, like.
Yeah, sanding in general, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
especially with carbon fiber, you don't want to breathe it in.
yeah, agreed. There's a couple things that I learned in lamination of carbon, where in like my Slim Nasty, as you know, I build a couple big quads, and in my Slim, did you laminate yours, Austin, or you just slap? No, yours is a single arm, right? Your Nasty.
What's that?
Your standing frame, was that a single carbon piece or was it the arms?
It was just single
Right.
cut.
So on my Nasty, it's 2 5mm pieces to make the arms. And so after you sand it, do you clean it?
Yeah, I usually like rinse it off and then dry it. And I have like, I don't know what the cloth is called. It kind of looks like a cheesecloth, but it's like sticky.
Cat cloth, yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
think
thing.
that's what it's called, yeah.
And I'll run that just to make sure there's no like finger residue or oils on it or anything, just to make it nice and as clean as possible.
I use, in the process of lamination, I clean everything with acetone and then alcohol.
Yeah, that's usually another good one to do too.
Because with carbon, there can be residue from the epoxies and shit,
Yeah.
and acetone can help pull that off. And then
That's a good point.
Just I didn't know if you'd done anything like that to treat.
I've also
treat it.
done Zytol. It's like some weird, it's like a paint stripper kind of thing, even more abrasive and harmful than like acetone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just bought that the other day. I haven't used it yet because I'm trying a new method of carbon painting instead of hydro dipping, sublimation. The sublimation is actually the same process that this shirt that I made was done in. It's where basically like you print something onto like a transfer film and then you heat press it into fabric, and it only works as polyester. This shirt's poly cotton, so that's why it looks a little faded, and I was kind of going for that look on purpose.
Right.
But yeah, so you can also do it on any hard surface. So you can do it on like wood or aluminum. You just have to like treat it with a medium first. So I'm trying that. My first test was mediocre, and that was completely user error. So
and in what
trying again.
what regard it just didn't? Why did you feel it was mediocre?
My, what do you call it? The compressor hose to my gravity gun was leaking, and I think I'm just missing an O-ring. So then I tried using a misting spray bottle, but the particles were just way too big. So when I was spraying it, the frame, it was just too watery and just didn't do a nice coat. So I just need to actually get an O-ring or something and get my gravity gun working.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see that because I thought the test was still pretty awesome nonetheless.
I did some tests on wood where I painted a piece of just wood piece, white, and then I sublimated onto that, and those came out well.
So what's the process of sublimation?
So you have to get a specific kind of ink and a certain kind of printer. It's an inkjet printer, but some of them use different types of print heads. So it's like a piezo, sonic based print head.
Mm-hmm.
Printers can be converted into it. So it's like an Epson printer that I have that I then converted into a sublimation printer by changing the ink cartridges and then adding like a long-term ink cartridge system, so I can just keep auto refilling the cartridges without ever actually taking it out.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then you print onto a transfer film, which is like, it kind of feels like a matte, thicker piece of paper. So I just order like a stack of those and I print onto those, and then you have a heat press. So you got to figure out the temperature of the heat press based on what type of fabric or material you're pressing onto and how long to press it. But yeah, you press into it and
A little bit of trial and error then.
That's interesting.
a little bit, yeah. So like those lens closets that you had earlier, those were one of my first tests that I was doing, was just because I just bought all the equipment and I wanted something cheap and easy and small that I can just do a bunch of tests on. And I ended up really liking the lens cloth. So
That's what these are. That's what this stuff is.
yeah, that started off as BQE was when I already figured out the temperature and the printing profiles and everything on the setup side. So now I can do pretty much any image, anything I want.
Those are dope.
And
Yeah, it's
these
super
are
dope.
cool.
Super dope.
They look really good.
I'm limited to
feel
like
good.
for a smaller size, but like you can do it for like big stuff too.
Well, you know how when you print on some stuff, like you really notice a difference in texture in the cloth,
Right.
in the cloth, and I don't really notice that which is so amazing.
Yeah.
Especially with a
So
lens cleaner, it's really important, right? So
that's the difference of sublimation as opposed to, more when you get shirts off of like Teespring or whatever, they're generally done as silk screen or directed garment technology, which basically the ink is sitting on the fabric, as opposed to sublimation, which has the whole heat process in it, and that transfers the ink into the fabric itself, so you don't feel it whatsoever.
That's really cool.
Well, I'm super stoked to see your progress with the carbon and sublimation. I think that's going to be a rad experiment, and I can't wait to see how that
So
turns
far,
out.
yeah, based on the colors that I've been getting printing onto fabric, if I can get the same vibrancy to print onto a frame,
That'd be killer.
Be
Yeah.
fucking awesome. Yeah, imagine that guy's fucking BQE sticker bomb frame.
That'd be sick.
yeah,
Yeah.
That would be nasty.
that is some of the plans.
Fuck yeah. So
Nice.
let's see here. Let's see if there's anything else. Is there anything else that you guys particularly want to add in terms of making stuff? Do you have any like thoughts on like how do you get inspiration for your designs? Like, or is it, where does that come from?
Life. Everything's beautiful. Yeah, just inspiration everywhere. Or like just the internet, man. Like you just see so much cool stuff that other people are building that I'm just like, fuck it. I want to build that too.
Right.
Or
on.
oh, you know, I got a new idea based on someone else's idea.
Right.
Another thing I was just building was, I mean, I love Jesse's mirror LED tunnel nonsense at Tiny Whoop, but I wanted something really small, portable, and I was curious, could I build it super lightweight? I happen to have the like mirror film, so now I just built a cheap $20 LED tunnel instead of and it weighs about like 3 pounds, I think.
That's dope.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And after she put Emu on her quad, she was able to rip those things. I got Hutch in the chat like he's like dope.
I gotta say, yeah, Emu.
The emu pusher, dude. So this weekend at the protest, I was definitely officially dubbed the emu pusher, but it's amazing.
I gotta say, I was surprised by the difference of how nicely Emu with Patrick's like setup and like it just day and night of how dialed in it is.
Well, for those that for whatever reason, my Mobula was having some weird issues with stabilized modes this weekend. I'm not really sure why. I gotta look at it. But so I just flew in the house in acro the whole weekend and just fucking ripped balls the entire time. There's like no NFE racer mode for me this weekend, unfortunately. But yeah, we whooped hard at the protest house at night. That was pretty fun.
Can I show off something else?
Yes.
So I just got a whole stack of Whoop frames from Tiny Whoop today.
Oh yeah.
That will become, I don't know how much I'm supposed to be disclosing of this. Oh, you can't even see it because it's flocking. Hold on. Let me turn off my green green screening. But you guys know what flocking is? Where it feels fuzzy.
Oh, word.
Oh,
yeah.
no shit.
Like texture.
Yeah. So here's my personal prototypes.
Fuzzy fucking
It's like
Yeah.
a peep.
Yeah, they basically feel like a marshmallow peep. So these will be coming to Tiny Whoop soon.
A marshmallow peep. Fuck yeah. That's hilarious.
You need one with the little bunny ears. Paint it yellow.
I did one when
that's a good idea.
and made it look like the earth, and it was just like a fuzzy earth, which is nice.
Flocking earth.
Let's print a vacuum form mold, and we'll make bunny Tiny Whoop canopies for Easter.
Let's do it.
Dude, hell yeah.
That's a good idea.
So I don't know if you guys caught it, but there was a baby riding on mine this weekend. The fucking Tiny Whoop. Is that in Maddie's footage?
Yeah, I think that's what I saw.
Oh my god, that shit was hilarious.
Edit. It's a good edit, man. You guys should watch that.
I gotta watch it. I didn't get through it yet.
Was it Matthew or was it the other one? Marshall. Which baby was it?
Marshall, I think.
Oh, shit.
Pretty sure it was Marshall. It's the one that ended up with Enoch's hair after I dreaded it up when I got stuck. when I got my whoop stuck in his hair.
I gotta bounce, guys. It's a little late for me.
Okay, awesome.
Oh, wow.
Red 5 going out.
It's been fun.
All right, man. It was nice meeting you, man.
Thanks for stopping
care.
by. and
Thanks for
hanging
coming
out,
too,
man.
Austin.
Later, Red.
Mad love,
Have a
brother.
good
See ya.
night.
So yeah, we are kind of getting a little late in the game, and it's been an amazing conversation. So I don't want to cut anybody short. I would love to squeeze in a couple videos before we end tonight.
Learned so much about 3D printing.
Right?
There's a
Learned
lot.
that you could print wood.
We can
which
print
is
wood.
Amazing.
Hey, you guys. Hey, what you want is wood.
And carbon
I want
fiber.
wood TPU on my bando.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
I want a
Clint
wall quad.
and I,
I'll change from yellow to wood.
we were trying to smash nylon carbon fiber prints that I had made, and it was pretty goddamn impressive, man. Like this shit is crazy strong. I did my nutmeg frame in nylon CF, and yeah, actually I haven't got.
I think I need a new nutmeg ducks,
Uh-oh.
by the way. By the way.
This is
Hint,
nylon
hint, nudge, nudge.
CF that was printed without any support, which even
Cool.
Andy Shen was actually a little amazed that I didn't need any support. I didn't have any support. I can't get the right. There we go. I didn't have any support in here, and I didn't use any support in the overhang areas around the.
Did you cut the
standoff.
props?
I
Nice.
did have to cut props. Yeah, I printed a fucking prop cutter.
Yeah.
And use that. But this shit is crazy. It's incredibly strong. The guys from Red Shifters make tiny whoop frames out of it, and it's
Yeah.
they got videos of them slamming them against the walls. I've printed a couple of their designs. They're sick. And
That's cool, man.
it's bananas the strength that you can get even with incredibly thin walls. You know what I mean? Like really, these
Cool.
Shendrone walls are really thin.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's what she said.
I already ripped this one in like 2 places.
I've got a TPU version of that somewhere here.
I glued it and it's fine. It's back in one piece right now.
So-
I don't even know where the rip was.
So
but
speaking of, I showed this shit before, but speaking of, what's that crazy glue shit that you can? Have you guys used that
Bondix?
stuff? Bondix, yeah. I have some of that stuff.
Yeah, it's
The
okay.
Bondix,
it's okay.
it's actually pretty neat. Have you used any of that shit, Gearhead?
I have not.
So it's like
I just print another one.
it's like a glue that you can.
UV cure.
It's just UV cured resin. It's basically
Yeah.
like I can take my resin, put it in a syringe, and do the same
do the
thing.
same
as
thing. Yeah. But it's exactly,
Yeah,
it's
I
exactly
think
what it is.
I think Virgin uses some stuff. It's made for like waders. You get it at like a outdoor fitter store, but it's a UV activated. It comes like in a super glue tube, and you just squeeze it out and hold it in the sunlight, and
Yeah.
30 seconds later, it's ready to go again.
The Bondix stuff is literally like comes in little tubes, and it's just like Say said, it's like a resin, and you can build. But the cool thing is you can build
Yeah.
it up like layers, and so you put some on, and then it comes. There's a little UV pen light. You fucking shine it on there for like 3 seconds, and it hardens. But it's kind of malleable still, and then you just keep adding layers to it, and then you can keep hardening and making. So like if your Whoop battery doesn't fit good, you sand and rough up the frame, and then you put some Bondix on it to make the battery hold in there better. Shit like that. Repairing Whoop ducts is actually kind of useful. And or like Vince had, and I had like the pens for 3D printing. That's another thing those are good for, is fixing
Those are
Yeah.
yeah.
fixing
I've
shit.
got one of them here somewhere too.
Yeah.
Actually, it's my daughter's. I stole it, but
You know you can friction weld 3D parts together? My friend showed that to me and I thought that was the coolest fucking thing.
I've never friction welded
That's pretty
anything,
crazy.
but it makes sense. You get
you
enough.
can friction weld her beer bottle into the corner of a wall too.
Wow.
Oh wow! Well, you can also
some-
friction weld a hotel room door shut if you jam enough fucking quarters in between the door and the jam, and you can actually make it so that you can't open the door from the inside. So if you want to lock your friends in their hotel room,
That's funny.
it works best with couples, but you know.
Life hack.
Life hacks. Yeah, actually, you want to use pennies, but you get 3 guys, preferably one big guy. Artie would definitely do, and you have them put all their weight on the fucking door, and then you just slide pennies between the door and the jam until you get so much fucking pressure built up that when you let off the door, it won't open anymore. and they have to call somebody to come let them out. It's pretty amazing.
Huh.
Life hack. Call it. I learned that on the road. Somebody tried to do that to me, and I caught him, and I had a bucket of water, and I got him. They never did it to me again. But life hacks.
I remember reading about that online when I was in college and I was going through a prank war and trying to come up with like what else I can do. That was one of the suggested ones.
That's definitely a good prank. So let's so as you guys know, unless you guys have anything major you want to add, I think we'll talk a little bit about what happened this weekend, yeah. Again, and I wanted to start playing a couple videos and then we're gonna cut it.
Yeah.
Sure.
So basically, guys, if you as you would probably all well know, there was a huge protest we kind of touched on the beginning. And I think that's a very important statement was made this weekend. And I think that, again, we can't thank the UFDA crew enough for putting it together and everybody that came and the community, albeit somewhat divided at times, we had people from the various, dare I say divisions, but the various organizations, camps, that's another good word. Yeah. Various camps came together to do one thing this weekend and do it together and put all that shit aside, at least for now. And I think that's a pretty important thing. And
and everybody that donated, I mean, even if you weren't there, they raised over $10,000 to put that on. So
yeah,
that's amazing.
Pretty fucking amazing.
Awesome.
People from all over the world.
And as you guys may know, RDQ is saying they're going to do a lawsuit. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, thanks to Tyler Brennan for that, man. I mean,
yeah,
I know.
Really speaks worlds about his character, man.
And just putting it out there, Tyler did really. He was on point this weekend, man. He was contacting Enoch. What time you need me there, man? I want to help, and he was there right away. He was there on time. He was mad helpful. All throughout, ordered pizzas for people and definitely, stepped up and
that's awesome, man.
It's cool. Yeah, it was very cool. And I think everybody stepped up, man. And I think that was clutch. And I think that was a pretty big statement. And I think that's one thing if we can all just take away from that is that we need to come together to fight this together, and we can't allow these differences of opinions or whatever to fucking keep us apart, because if we're divided, we're not gonna make it. So
exactly, that's why things like this are so important. I mean,
yeah,
community builder, if nothing else,
Yeah, it was not just a protest. It was a massive community builder. And I mean, bro, the opportunity to see friends new and old and people that you may not have met in real life, but you've been talking to for ages. And, exactly. Man, like Easy FPV made it, Eric Lowry, who won the BQE, a few shows back. And man, it just, I don't know, just all those people that you've been talking to for a while here, there. And then to be able to see, of course, the people that, that you haven't seen for a while, which just, you know what I mean? Like, it was just amazing all the way around, and everybody, coming together and doing that. And the support we were getting, like the people from, that were watching us on Facebook were ordering pizzas for us and shit, you know what I mean? And shit like that. Awesome. Like, they couldn't be there, but they're sending us a pizza. You know what I mean? Fuck yeah, bro. I mean, it was good.
Absolutely, man.
And,
it's good stuff, man.
And it was an FPV event. It wasn't necessarily a big party. It was just a big hang, and it was super cool, Yeah,
it's amazing. Shout out to everybody involved and that was there, man.
And the content, I think that's going to be coming from that this weekend. I think the content will be coming for quite some time, and there's so much amazing content.
There's already been a ton, man.
Yeah,
some great edits out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Facebook feed is just protest.
It's so awesome.
Yeah. It's all different. That. I mean, it's tons of people making this stuff. It's not the same video over and over. It's all new content stuff. So,
well, even the stuff that kind of, I mean, because it's the same timeline, right? But it's amazing to see how different the edits can be and some of the content,
all the different perspectives.
Exactly. It's so cool.
I didn't really take much video. I just took stills like the whole weekend, and that was cool. And then Chris Teal got a bunch of dope stills that he's dropping out. A couple other people did. I think Gravy.
Gravy did. Capper put his out. There's a whole bunch of really good ones.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah, I think we'll be seeing that content for the next couple weeks.
yeah, man.
Hold on, yeah.
Let's rock a couple videos.
Let's do it.
All right.
What we got up?
I'm gonna play Prim's video from the protests. So let's go to.
Yeah.
It's pretty
That
fucking
was a good
awesome.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, slipping on down, slipping on down, slipping on down.
Well, we made it. We are at the FAA headquarters. It's like 32 freaking degrees outside. And here's the police. The police are here.
It's one-sided.
Just coming to fuck with the day.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I'll be giving away free stickers.
What's up? We.
How are you? Huh? Look at this. You're actually, your ear is kind of red too. And this is all red. Actually, you're all red.
Yeah, this is Sammy. We tried to call him, but we couldn't find his phone number. But he's here now. We got Sammy to put our sticker on his cart. So now, when the FAA comes out, they're gonna see that sticker on there. Dude, that's the best thing ever, bro. Breaking news! That freaking meteor
That's
smashed that
sick.
car, dude. Look at that.
Sammy's awesome.
I don't know if this flag is up to code. Now!
I wonder how many hot dogs he sold that day.
We bought a metric shit ton. Enoch was buying them by the hundreds.
How much was a hot dog?
$2 or something, I think I remember seeing. That's how many edits I've seen.
Still cheaper than a hot dog in New York.
Who is it dancing? I haven't figured that out yet.
I think that was Captain Uno.
Right there.
Robert Pringle. I think that was Robert Pringle.
Yeah.
Unruly says it was Captain Nuno.
Let's get him up on the stage and say, hey, what up? Hey.
And let the congregation say amen.
Oh, Terrence Howard.
Terrence motherfucking Howard.
What a complete surprise.
Did y'all see Zora's edit
Oh,
where he
man.
just catches him falling up the stairs?
Yeah.
It's so good. I love him for that.
That was a good.
Zorro, but just saying, if you do it, you get a special prize today. There's fucking He got a GoPro award. And everyone else, thank you, for not banning our hobby earlier, because you would have been able to get the GoPro award. Think about it. Think about it. So, I'm gonna drive here today. But thanks for coming out. Love you all, guys. Except Bob Reiner. This is what you want. Hate him. And you're still cool. And Canada's here, represented for us. Yeah. And I'm out.
Much later.
I'm at the top of the world.
Oh my God. Many hours later.
See, this was like the main spot I went to for the Sunday camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to go somewhere else too. Just too many people.
What he did to that awning right there is how I exploded my SL5.
So this was a giant fail-safe waiting to happen up there.
Yeah.
I ripped this with the 10.
How many people got to fly before you guys got kicked out?
Oh, most of us got a few packs. Yeah, we got a good one.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Good shit right there.
Yeah,
I think that was I think that was a good capture of the weekend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, because a lot of us did sneak out. Some of the guys decided to go, be a tourist in CDC, and I was like, fuck yeah, you've never been to DC? Go check it out. There's a lot of crazy architecture, cool shit, and they got some priceless stuff from that as well. And the rest of us went and flew, and we went to the first park, and it was jammed. It was like there was a lot of pilots there, and we ended up breaking out. And it was funny because we broke out, and when we got over to the college there was already people over there ripping. There was probably 2-3 carloads, and then we got kicked out, and then we went to Crickett's high school and ripped over there, which I didn't see that in Prim's video, but that was cool as fuck. Let's see here. All right, Red 5, who just left us. Let's drop this. This is his latest edit. 24 months of flying in 4 minutes. Let's go.
Birds flying high. Sun in the sky, sun in the sky. You know how I feel. Birds flying high. Breeze drifting on by. You know how I feel. Birds flying high. Sun in the sky.
that gap.
Ooh. Ooh.
Oh, that thing's cool.
Oh, that structure is so sick.
Looks like whatever that is on liftoff. Oh, that's
Ooh. What a beast.
That's awesome.
That's still just September.
Yeah, so
Ooh. Yeah, he's really feeling the upside down now. All my practice has been in the sim recently.
I've been playing so much sim, I'm gonna go to fly my real quad and I'm not gonna be able to fly it.
Right?
Everything's gonna be all screwed up.
That'll be fine.
just gotta change the rates and stuff. Gotta make it go close to whatever.
I need to change gravity. That's what I need to change.
Yeah, I wish you could do that in liftoff or DCL.
Yeah, I've been digging that DCL.
I feel like it just runs really well. Like it's locked at whatever frames you want it locked at.
Yeah.
For freestyle, like when you drop the throttle, it just kind of floats a lot. But for racing, you don't feel it because you're always full throttle, you know?
Yeah, it's not what I would call a
Freestyle.
simulator. It's an arcade game, but it's still hella fun.
Yeah. Oh,
I was fucking sick. It was really cool to watch a pilot's progression over time
That's
like
awesome.
that. Like that was really well
Yeah,
done.
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a good. That was a good.
I feel like I figured out where I'm at. I'm like right near the beginning. Like I'm saying, like I fly like that. Yeah, that's how I fly. And I'm like, wow, I still have a long way to go.
Yeah, another one of my favorites here, Magic Carpet Goon Squad down in Florida.
FPV tenderfoot. Yeah, you and your broke ankle. I want to fly the inside.
I'm jealous of the Florida guys because they get to fly all fucking year round.
Go. I'm not trying to be on the same stairs you're on.
Except at 3 o'clock when it rains every day.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I'm coming in right after
We're in
that.
some weird places, guys.
Like that's the perfect time.
Yep, I'm going down. I don't like it. If these stairs break, we're dead. Crazy! Say hello, Mark. What up? These are ready to ripping. What's up, Mr. Vance?
Hey, what's up, bud? How you doing, man?
Hey, buddy. Thanks.
Let's creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating.
I think I've used this song in another edit too.
And always
I like that song.
hesitating. Kryptonite desires set my heart
That place looks like a good place to explode.
Right.
Pipes and probably death wires everywhere.
All these just nasty gaps and shit.
Yeah, I couldn't stand up there and do a Matty flip. I always fall over when I do Matty flips.
Ooh. The fuck?
That was good.
feel like a staple.
My bones crave your skin. Temptation within. Mistakes ignite the silence. Nightmares creep while you and me repeat. This bittersweet heat is suffocating.
Who is this again, Chiller?
Magic Carpet.
Magic Carpet, yeah.
Set my heart afire. Heart on fire. Set my heart afire.
They got a smoker on that thing?
Yeah, it looked like it.
Yeah, by the way, anybody still here, go subscribe to these guys. Everybody.
I would link it, but my cat's taking up my I feel like the music cuts out unless Chad talks recently.
Yeah,
Cough, Chad.
Eh?
There you go.
Copy out.
Set my heart afire.
Sick.
Yeah. Awesome.
That was awesome.
Hell yeah. What were you saying, Artie? I didn't hear you. I couldn't hear you over the music because it's louder on my side.
Gotcha. I don't even remember, to be honest.
I heard something about if people are here. Are you
yeah.
here?
If anybody's here, I was just telling everybody to subscribe and like all these things, all these guys
Hell yes.
who were on here, and if you like their videos, show them some love.
Hell yes. AJ's subbed. Hell yes. There you go. You know what? And everybody who's left in this chat should be subbing each other if you haven't already done so. I'm just saying. So, like, you know. Get that shit. Do you guys have anything you guys want to share? Anything else you want to share video-wise or content-wise tonight?
I think that's it, man.
Okay. I think that's good.
Oh, I had linked you in the Zoom chat, the timestamped one. It was the BQE zine.
Oh yeah, that's timestamped. Oh yeah, let's do this. All right, hold on a second.
Yeah, the second one. The second one is timestamped. Yeah.
Oh, the second one's timestamped. Well, fuck it. You know what? Let's just play the whole goddamn thing, because it's my favorite. It's not that long. And
Well, it's awesome, and I don't think you've seen it either, right?
I actually have not
said you
seen
don't
this
remember
one.
seeing this one.
He hasn't. He usually sends them to me, but for whatever reason I didn't see this one. I guess it's because I was under a rock. But anyways, this is the latest, right?
Yeah, this is from the
most
Boston
recent.
Film Festival.
Oh, this is from Boston? Oh, okay. Well, anyways, all right, let's play it.
Which is the most recent.
All right, so this is a BQE zine.
This is the one I'm in, I think.
Yeah, that's why we're playing it.
Awesome. Dude, I had forgot I sent that to him.
So I have seen this one, dude. It was a while.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, this is my favorite one too. Fucking wombat. I love wombat.
Agreed.
What was it that he had when he was on the show? Like a wombat fetus under glass or something?
What doesn't he have when he's on the show?
It's crazy stuff he finds in Mississippi. Or wherever he thinks it is. Off real quick, Chad.
Say what?
Yes.
You better stay aloof when the truth move. The suicide move sues. The who's who of you to shoot. The bullets go. Zoom, zoom. Pain is a porn pal. The painted population. It's faded. It's more foul. The famous is toxin. Hollywood off the bus park. Tend a little destructor. In a race with a gold face. Feet agree with dum dum. You and me in a butane. Super lame and he puff
Those are the biggest, tallest buildings I could find. And they're still not very tall.
That's funny.
What you do with them, man?
Tragedy, smurfs, the middleman shirt burst. You wet it up, wet work. You get it up, get murked. A rabbit and crosshairs, mechanical fox son. Be quiet, the hunting now. You will not know the distinction between time and space.
Red.
I can't fly that fast. I explode.
Yeah.
Oh, did you see Vortex just put out a new video?
I did see that. I did see that.
He's from
he
this.
lives.
He lives
From this spot. I think. I haven't watched it all yet.
I think this is from that edit.
Is it?
Yeah. Totally is. I just watched it earlier.
I haven't clicked on it. I was busy doing other shit, but I'm gonna watch it.
I've been paying attention to the everything else. Mostly protest shit.
Yeah. He's hating that Florida life. Stuck in the warehouse.
Send it.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
Those zines are
Awesome.
just so awesome for
Have
me.
you
I
heard of
love those.
BQE.io?
Have you heard?
Have you heard? BQE.io. Wicked. All right, wicked. So we're like, whatever, 10, 15 minutes late as usual. So awesome. That's a wrap.
Yeah, let's
man.
call it, brother.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks
That
for
was
having
awesome.
us. Yeah, that was a lot of
Thank you guys
fun.
so much for coming.
Yeah,
man.
no
It's-
doubt.
Thank you for being on.
Yes,
Welcome anytime.
I think that we could cover things in great detail, and in the future we should definitely we should do so, and we can continue to nerd out and share our nerd journeys of making crazy shit. And hopefully somebody learned something today. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure somebody did. I did.
I got this. Yeah,
I did.
Yes.
So,
wicked.
when
And if they got questions, they can find
Yeah,
us,
hit us up.
on social media somewhere.
all the social medias, Facebook.
All the
Need any
social
help
medias,
cooking? I'm your man.
both Gearhead and Say's YouTubes are in the description down below. Please check them out if you haven't, like, sub, and all that fun stuff.
Show love, people.
Say's commercial site is also there as well. If you want to get some awesome fucking
Threads. And
yes, if you want to get some awesome threads and some eyeglass cleaners and dope shit, definitely check that out. Rock and roll. All right. Well, we love you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
thanks for coming out tonight.
We'll probably cover things that we'd meant to tonight next week. But as usual, the conversation gets good and we run long. And yeah.
So that be.
Much love, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us.
Peace.
Peace.
Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight.